Hello and welcome to the Talking Apron. This is the podcast that turns food knowledge into everyday meals that truly support your health. I'm Anne Bernardin, a nutrition educator and diabetes prevention coach, a lifelong home cook, and I just happen to live with type 1 diabetes. And living with type 1 diabetes has shown me how powerful small, consistent choices in the kitchen can be so helpful to our long-term health. Each week, we focus on practical ways to eat well through clear nutrition insights, simple planning and prepping of meals, and some strategies for a realistic approach to our daily life. And whether you're managing prediabetes, working to prevent it, or just want to feel better through food, this is your place to learn, plan, and cook with confidence. So to get started, let's talk about dropping the food math. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you've ever tried to count calories, measure every bite, or log every meal, like I have, you probably know how exhausting that can feel. Counting calories can make eating feel like a math test, but food should be joyful, confident experience, not a spreadsheet. Today, we're exploring how your body already gives you built-in portion cues. No calculator required. We'll talk about portion awareness, how it builds peace of mind, it gives us steadier energy, and it relaxes our relationship with food. And isn't that what we want? Just to live our daily lives appreciating and enjoying the food that we eat, knowing that it's healthy for us? And here is why counting doesn't work. Let's start with the truth. Many people don't realize that calorie labels can be off by 20 to 30%. So even when you're tracking perfectly, the math might not be accurate. But the bigger problem is what it does to your mind and your body. When you're hyper-focused on the numbers, your stress hormones, especially cortisol, rise. And that stress alone can raise your blood sugar levels. So instead of eating for nourishment, many people start eating out of guilt or fear. That's not fun, and that punishes. They're punishing themselves with restriction or rewarding with food. Here's the reality. Your body isn't a calculator. It's a beautifully designed feedback system, a loop. When you learn to trust it again, you can step off the diet roller coaster for good. And here is what portion awareness really means and actually looks like. And I'm going to surprise you. It is not about control. It's about connection. Start with your own internal cues, your hunger and fullness scale. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being ravenous, 10 meaning stuffed to the gills, Thanksgiving time, try eating a gentle 3 to 7. That's the sweet spot where you're neither deprived nor over full. Your body uses hormones like ghrelin, that's the hunger signal, and leptin, that's the fullness signal, to guide you. We just have to get in tune and have our bodies healthy to be able to produce those hormones effectively. Now, those hormones can only do their job when you slow down and pay attention. And here's a little secret. Real food, whole foods, not processed foods, satisfies more quickly because it actually nourishes your cells and your body knows it. That's why a plate of grilled salmon and vegetables leaves you content, while a bag of chips somehow disappears before you realize it. Isn't that the truth? All right, are you following so far? Let's take a bit of a break so that information can marinate. And I'm going to get a little personal right now. Are you someone who cares about your health future? If you're listening to the podcast, I know you are. And are you concerned about diabetes? Most people should be around the age of 50 to 60 plus because that's where the American population is heading. Maybe you've just been told that your A1C is creeping up, or maybe the word prediabetes has been mentioned at your latest doctor's appointment. And now your mind is spinning, wondering, how can this be happening? I eat well. I eat whole foods. I cook from home more than I eat out. How come this is happening to me? What can I eat? Do I have to give up pasta? Will I end up on insulin? This does not have to be your story. First, we just have to take a deep breath and not go into the fear and worry. Sometimes it's just a few small changes that can make a difference. And to make starting easier, grab my free video guide called 5 Hacks to Lower Your Blood Sugar Fast. Now, it's packed with science-backed tips that you can use today. There's no guesswork, there's no guilt, just real results. These hacks are what I've been using for years when my blood sugar starts trending a little bit higher. Now, you can find the link in the description of this podcast in the link. And you can find that link easy to click and go when you're in that description. Now, let's get back to not counting calories. All right, let's get and visualize that over time, you're going to be able to visualize what's called a sight practice. And that's when you visually can look at what you're preparing, what you've been served at a restaurant, and you can portion yourself and know what you're eating without measuring cups or food scales. But first up, there's a week or two of practice. And yes, what you'll want to do is you'll want to measure your favorite mug, cup, bowl, plate. And you want to measure to see how much does it store on it so you have a visual. If you have a cereal bowl that's a little bit big and the measurements for how many carbs or how many calories is on the back of the box, and it says serving size is 1 cup and you've been eating 2, and you wonder how come you're not losing weight, well, that bowl holds 2 cups, not 1 cup. So we start to put into practice this visual, and to start, I just use water. I use a measuring cup of 1 cup, fill my bowl. Oh, it's a 3 cup, it's a 2 cup. So even when I serve a salad, I know how many vegetables I'm getting with that bowl, and I can start eyeing it. That's 1 cup, that's 2 cups, that's 3 cups. Very simple. Takes a little strategy at first, but after that, you get really good, and you don't have to count your calories anymore. You can do it by sight. So you can start building those reference points. So then when you fill your plate, you have that knowledge. Now, the next step is using pause points. So we visualize the plate after we get a little bit of experience. We visualize what we're putting on it. And then we have a pause. What we do is we eat And then halfway through, we sit for a couple of minutes. We have conversation. Maybe we read if we eat alone. We get up and go to the bathroom, have a little sip of water, and you ask yourself, am I still hungry? Or am I eating just out of habit? And this simple moment of mindfulness can change everything. And if you listen to some of the other of the Talking Apron podcast, you may already know how fiber and protein help you self-regulate. So here's a little refresher. It's where nutrition science meets your kitchen reality. Fiber will slow the digestion. It keeps you satisfied longer and helps your blood sugar, or when I say blood sugar, think energy, stay steady. Specifically, the digestion that occurs in the large intestines makes the hormones that signal I'm full, plus that GLP-1 portion, which is really important. So when we take a pause, we're giving that fiber a chance to start moving through the digestive system so we get the correct signal. Now, protein gives you the staying power, stabilizes your blood sugar, your energy, and it reduces the cravings later in the day. So you can listen to one of my previous podcasts to find out more about the protein and fiber integration. But think about this. When you're eating, if you toss half a cup of chickpeas into a salad with some greens and olive oil, this will keep you full and energized for hours because there's plenty of good fiber in the chickpeas. Now, you can compare that to a 200-calorie cookie, which is delicious, and I'm not saying not to have, but it gives you a quick spike and then a crash. And that leaves you searching for more to snack on in another hour. Fiber and protein don't do that. They fill you up and they teach your body about the balance. Now, if you don't want to put chickpeas in, well, then have one of those ready cups made of hummus, self-serving. Celery, carrots, jicama, broccoli, cauliflower, any raw vegetable, have that in the middle of the day, and that'll sustain you rather than giving you that quick dopamine. It's not dopamine. The quick rush of I feel great, and then you're tired again and you think you need that cup of coffee. So here's a little kitchen confidence tip, and it's simple. Serve yourself in the kitchen. Then bring your plate to the dining room table. So this is just one strategy. See the portion before you sit down. You're serving from the stove or from the kitchen. You're putting that, I'll say, starch or complex carbohydrate on your plate, like potato, resistant starch, rice, and you have your protein. It'll give your brain a visual cue of satisfaction. It's like saying, oh, wow, this is really nutritious. I'm going to be full after I finish eating this plate. Okay, that's one. The second piece of this, you can bring, in case you don't know your hunger signals and you're going to take that pause halfway through your dinner hour, your lunch or your breakfast, bring the vegetables to the table. So then you can replenish and keep eating the fiber and the nutrient-dense vegetables because you already know that you've served yourself the right portion for protein and the right portion for complex carbs. Simple as that. Now, here's another kitchen strategy tip. Use the smaller plates or bowls. And if you've measured them, you'll have them. Did you know in the 1950s that our plate size was about 9 inches? Do you know that some restaurants, they're at 11, 12, and 13 inches, and they serve us on that? That's in the last 50 years. No wonder human beings are getting heavier. Our plate sizes have increased, and we load it up with foods because the visual cue is there's not enough food on that plate. So go with the smaller plate. Not only does it decrease the portion size, it tells your brain, I'm going to be satisfied. All right. That's it for today's kitchen chat. How you ditch the calorie counting so we have portion power for our diabetes health. And remember that eating well is not about perfection. It's about attention, paying attention, listening to your body. Eat to satisfaction, not stress, and you will discover your own natural portion power. Now, if you're interested in learning more about nutrition and wellness, please subscribe to these podcasts or go to my website, www.thetalkingapron.com, and you'll find a couple other free, helpful tips and tricks that you can download. And we'll also subscribe you to my nutrition newsletter that comes out every week. So until next time, I am cheering you on.